Hey, this is Debarshi Kundu again. This video is a news update for my tutorials. I just wanted to tell you that from now on I will not use Windows for the tutorials, as Windows is a proprietary operating system. I will use Linux instead. The problem with operating systems nowadays is that almost all of them are proprietary, or controlled by companies and businesses, whose main idea is basically profiteering from the user. Free and open source software such as Linux allow the user the freedom to modify their operating system the way they want it. I can change the coding to Linux's kernel. I can program it to fit my needs. That is what free and open source software allows people to do. Steve Jobs once had a saying, "It's the products. There's no sex in them anymore." Well, every single proprietary operating system follows this belief. Linux, on the other hand, as it is free and open source, doesn't. I would now like to rate the sexiness of Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux in several categories, from a range of 0 to 5. When it comes to speed, Windows will get a 1. Windows often crashes. There are many viruses that affect the speed to Windows. Mac will get a 5, and Linux I'm going to put a 4, because often, since we've got a ton of programmers working on Linux, there could be programming bugs, and those can cause your system to slow down. The ability to change and/or choose your own user interface. For example, I'm using the Unity user interface right here. But I can add an interface such as KDE or GNOME 2. Windows is most definitely a 0. That's the user interface that you have to stick with. The user interface that comes with Windows. Mac, yeah, there are a few user interfaces out there that you can change Mac for, Mac is given a 2 for that reason. Linux is just like beastly, a 5. There are so many user interfaces out there for Linux. It's just amazing. The ability to modify the operating system to your liking, whether or not it involves programming. Windows is a big fat 0. Mac, I'll give it a 3, as there are a few things that Mac does release as open source, and it does have a lot of support for open source projects. Linux is definitely a 5. Many open source software in Linux. Very few proprietary software that is actually allowed to enter, even work on the Linux operating system. The ability to freely redistribute the operating system to someone. Windows is a 0, Mac is a 0, as they're both proprietary. Linux is a 5, as that is a free and open source operating system. Included support for many programming languages such as C, C++, Perl, Ruby, Python, or Scheme. Included means that it comes with the system, pre-installed into the computer operating system. Windows is definitely a 0. You have to install it from either a CD or the internet. That is what I hate about Windows. The only thing I mainly like about Windows is that it's simplistic. Mac, on the other hand, is a 5. It comes included with C, C++, Perl, Ruby, Python. You have the option to download Scheme also if you want. Linux comes included with all this software too. And if there's a certain piece of software that you want to access on Linux or Mac, for example GCC, which is GNU Compiler Collection. Let's just go to terminal for a second. And OK. GCC -v. Alright, so the version is 4.6.3 for Ubuntu Linux. So GCC is one of the most popular C compilers out there, and that is available for Windows via what you call the Cygwin project. However, that's just an emulator and it does not give the performance of a Unix or Linux system such as Mac or Linux, of course. A large development community for the operating system. Windows is a 2. Mac, I'll give a 1, because Mac, believe it or not, isn't as popular as Windows. Since Windows is very simplistic to most new users and stuff, that's the reason why Windows has more programmers than Mac. Now, Linux is definitely a 4. Linux was practically built for the community to program. For computer geeks, doesn't matter what. It's built to program. Many application programming interfaces. Windows is given a 2. And this includes, for Windows, Win32, Windows Forms, and crap like that. Mac is definitely a 5. Mac, you can download Qt, you can download several other things. GTK Plus you can build for Mac. You have definitely the Cocoa framework and Coffee. Yes, definitely Coffee. Linux is definitely a 5. Qt, GTK Plus, they have XFCE's own little, I don't know how to, they have so many application kits, and they don't have Cocoa though, I'll admit. Linux does not have Cocoa. Cocoa was mainly developed for Mac systems. Apple likes to develop many application programming interfaces for their own, and other companies might provide Apple with a few more. Linux, on the other hand, has a lot of application programming interfaces, just not the ones that Apple develops, because duh, Linux is the open community, and Mac, on the other hand, or Apple, just for a few people, the people who are into using it, because those operating systems are proprietary. Linux is not. The ability to download software almost instantaneously over the internet. Windows is a 1. This is because there is no way, no program is going to get software from the internet on Windows. There is no program that does that. Mac, there is the App Store, and there's a reason why I'm giving it a 4. That's because most of the software that you can download is proprietary. You want software that you can adjust, you can adjust to your needs, and that would be Linux, which is given a 5. On Ubuntu, they have the Ubuntu Software Center. This is Ubuntu Linux, by the way. And it's just, wow. There is developer tools. If you just go here, it's like totally amazing. One sec. So yeah, they've got a whole range of software. You can choose from accessories, books and magazines, developer tools. Most of these are free. Some of them you might have to pay a little bit, but it'll say. And basically the thing about Linux is that all this is organized. And this is just one flavor of Linux. One easy way to download software is also through the terminal. You could do using apt, you could install software. Sudo apt get install, and let's say Java. Just enter the password there, and okay, I'm able to locate package Java, and I knew that because I already installed Java, so of course it's not gonna read Java, and that's not the name of the package anyway. But that's basically the idea. In Linux, you have so many repositories you can connect to online, and just bam, just get the software downloaded. Mac, around the same thing, same idea. but it's just way too proprietary. The ability to configure your operating system and or customize it. Windows, I'll give it 2. Yes, you can customize Windows, believe it or not. There are some things that you can do to modify it, and maybe if you want to make it look like Mac, or themes and stuff, tweaks, you can just download them from the internet, and blah blah blah. There you go. Mac is definitely a 5. You see, Mac's user interface was basically made for customization. It gives you a variety of options, basically. Linux, I'll give a 4. The reason being is because there are many ways to configure Linux, in that you can program it your own way, you can add a dock to it, you can do so many things, but it's all up to you. Yet, at the same time, it's not as easy to do it as it is in Windows and Mac. The ability to port the operating systems to many different computing platforms. Windows, I'll give a 2. This is because Windows can run on x86, x86-64, Spark, well no, Windows actually can't run on Spark. Wait, do I remember? I forget. Maybe Windows can run on Spark, I forgot that. And Windows 8 will be able to run on ARM CPUs. Mac, on the other hand, the thing is, Mac can run on PowerPC, and most of them nowadays run on Intel computers. However, Macs, the thing is, it has to be a Mac. The hardware has to be made by Apple. Otherwise, it's illegal to download Mac OS X on another computer. And if you want to download Mac OS X illegally and port it to a computer, you can use a project called Hackintosh, but please don't. Linux, I'm going to give a 5. This is because Linux has support for so many different platforms. Not only desktop computers like the one I'm using now, but also there's mainframe computers, there's mini computers, there's even supercomputers that might run Linux. That is the amazing ability of Linux. In fact, Linux is included in a ton of things. Even things that you might think might not have Linux do. Like those computers on the airplane that we used to watch movies. Those run Linux. Android is a Linux operating system. There are so many different uses of Linux. It's just incredible. On average, Linux is the operating system that is most sexy. Linux brings back the sex to the computer universe. This flavor of Linux is called Ubuntu, and you can download it from www.ubuntu.com. Let me just show you the site. As you can see, this is Ubuntu, and if you just go on their download page, you have an option. You can download the desktop edition. You can even download a server edition. They even have a cloud that allows you to sync your files online, so that is like totally amazing. And the best part is you can keep Windows, and you can dual boot it. So this is like totally amazing. They have an option for 32-bit or 64-bit. Nowadays, most computers will be 64-bit, but the older ones tend to be 32-bit. And 32-bit will work on 64-bit operating systems anyway. So anyway, this is Debarshi Kundu signing off. Please come to my next tutorial.